It's really easy to be happy when everything in your life is going exactly how you want it. But what about when things, well, don't go the way you want it? Like you get a cancer diagnosis and you find out it's gone all through your lymph nodes and you're pretty certain you're going to die. How do you find happiness then? Well, here's the thing. If we don't want to think about it, we're going to need to at least at some point because we're not getting out of this thing alive. And it is of our nature, all of us, to be sick and die one day. So, one of the Vietnamese monks I always studied was Thich Nhat Hanh. And he would meditate on the idea that it was his nature to get sick and die so that he could find happiness in any situation. Look, if you can find happiness facing that, then you are a true grandmaster of how to be in good moods. Thank goodness I have found one of those grandmasters. She is living, breathing, and well. Her name is Fitz Koehler, and she has an amazing, noisy cancer comeback story where she found joy the whole way through. Looking forward to sharing that with you. Let's rock.
Here's your host, Matt O'Neill.
So I used to think that the goal of happiness was to figure out how to make sure everything in life went perfect. That way I'd never be unhappy again. If I could just get everything, like get my finances right, get my health right, make sure my kids behave, make sure that my wife and I had the perfect marriage, just make sure everything in my life and every other person didn't do anything that disturbed my happiness, then I would have happiness. And then I discovered that things kept being challenging, like over and over and over. And so I'd fix a challenge. I'd be, okay, once we get through this challenge, then the happiness will be here. And then the next challenge would show up and the next and the next and the next. And finally, I realized the challenges in life never, ever stop. And since this is the good mood revolution, I'm like, well, how are we supposed to have good moods if life is constantly challenging? Like every single month, something else challenging goes on. Every single year, something really, really big challenging goes on. And I realized that we're only ever going to be happy when we figure out how to be happy during challenges. So today we have an inspirational hero, Fitz Koehler. She wrote the book, My Noisy Cancer Comeback Story. She's an inspiration to me. I've been listening to her podcast. It's super fun. The way that she approaches life is super fun. Fitz, welcome to Good Mood Revolution.
Oh, thank you for having me, Matt. I'm thrilled to talk to you. And, with your intro, my family motto is perfect is boring. And so we live that because perfect's also impossible and unattainable. And so I find the funniest moments in life come from the fails, right? I mean, there's America's Funniest Home Videos for a reason. You didn't like falling through your trampoline or getting whacked in the wang by a kid trying to hit a piñata, but those are the things that memories are made of. So yeah, we have to drop this drive for perfection and just strive for great and enjoy the minor setbacks. And sometimes the things that we think are big deal right now are really just stuff we won't even remember in a month from now.
My kids and I watch America's Funniest Home Videos like it's our show. And when you said getting whacked in the wang, trying to hit a piñata, like my daughter, my 8-year-old Cameron, when people are getting hurt, she covers her eyes, but like keeps her fingers wide so that she could still see because it's cringy, but at the same time, it's pretty hilarious when we fail.
Oh, it's so good. And that show, by the way, my kids are a little older. Ginger's 21, but even when a boy broke her heart in high school, she was just sobbing. It was come lie in bed with mommy and turn on AFV. And it's the solution. It's the solution. Watching people get whacked in the wang. That's the secret.
But I think it's a wonderful point that you're making is that when we can laugh at life's challenges.
Yeah.
That's what this episode is about, is how can we find joy during life's challenges? Because look, life's going to be challenging. And I know you had a really big challenge. Would you mind taking us back there? What was this giant challenge that you were facing and how did you go through it?
Yeah. So in early February of 2019, 6 weeks after a sparkling clean mammogram, I got out of the shower at a race weekend I rubbed my underboob and I found a lump. Doctors describe it as a grape-sized lump, and then this is 6 weeks after a clean mammogram. So I called the doc right away. Within a week, I had the series of appointments that led to the mammogram and the ultrasound, where the radiologist said, hey, you know what? That mass is suspicious, but you have several hard swollen lymph nodes we're concerned about, which means if there's something there, it is spread. And within a few days after that, a surgeon called and said, I'm so sorry, but you do indeed have breast cancer. It's already spread. It's running through you like wildfire, and we need to treat you urgently and aggressively. And so they did. They put me through 15 months of chemotherapy, which is a very, very long time to have chemo. And then I had 33 rounds of radiation, a couple surgeries, and I'm so grateful to be cancer-free and on the other side of it. But, I got that diagnosis and I had decisions to make, and I chose life. I chose perspective, and, I chose humor. And that's really what my noisy cancer comeback is about. Those things. It's about life. It's about perspective. It's about having a sense of humor. And I think you can only joke about things that you've been through, but cancer was freaking funny at times. It was so hard, so crazy. It was preposterous. I had no choice but to laugh at myself, and thank goodness I did.
One of your chapters is called When Things Go Wrong, Don't Go With Them. I haven't read the chapter, but just the name of the chapter captivated me. Can you tell me what you mean by that?
There's so many times where things are going to hit you, and you have the opportunity to just sit there and sulk and be a part of the misery or move forward. And so in that chapter, I talk about being stuck at an airport. So as my career as a race announcer and a keynote speaker, throughout my treatment, I got on 30 something planes out of my hometown of Gainesville, Florida, to fly to races or speaking events. And I think I had been gone for about 10 days hosting marathon weekend and then 2 other races. So 3 states, about 50,000 people I hosted. And again, I was so sick. It's just hard to describe. Imagine having a tequila hangover or the worst food poisoning ever for 15 months. It was just, absurd, right? So,
and you're like up on top of the race, with the microphone, like the beats booming, and you're the one bringing the energy, right? You're the one that's like, let's go racers. Right. You've got this, Group A.
Something like that. So the blessing for me is, even if I was sleeping on the hotel bathroom floor the night before a race, once I dragged my bald head onto that platform, everything that was wrong with me would disappear. And that's the beauty of having something you do you're so passionate about, having people you love and care about, is you can pull yourself out of those funks. So when I stepped on my stages, I wasn't sick, I wasn't tired, I wasn't suffering. I got to be full force Fitz Koehler, even if it were for 9 hours hosting a marathon. It was magical. And so hopefully everybody has something in their life that they wouldn't give up, even if cancer came knocking, right? They're going to do this thing no matter what. And then that thing is going to take them out of their misery, their suffering, whatever it is. So that was a great blessing to me. Did I work extra hard? Yes. Was it traveling obnoxious? Yes. But I did it, and the benefits outweighed the cost. But with that chapter, I had an experience. So I'm flying home after this very long trip, which was wonderful and exciting, also brutal, if you can imagine, right? So I'm ready to get home, and I get stuck in Atlanta airport. I find that my flight is going to be, 6, 7, 8 hours late. Instead of getting home at noon, I'm not going to get home until 10 p.m. And I could have just sat there and cried, right? And I certainly did a lot of crying through cancer, but on that day, I just decided, screw it. I'm going to make the best of today. And so looked up the Delta Sky Lounge. I'm a Delta Platinum Medallion member. I get to go to the Sky Lounge.
Yeah, you are. You're so fancy.
So I look up, and I had heard a rumor that there were showers in some of the Sky Lounges. And so I found it was in Terminal T or whatever. So I go over there, and I didn't need a shower. I had already taken a shower, but that's what I was going to do. And so I go into the Sky Lounge, and I head towards a place where they have the restroom. I said, I'd like to take a shower. And she said, okay. And she gives me this beautiful little stack of towels wrapped in a ribbon and soap and all the niceties. And I go in this, it's a master bathroom, really. There's a toilet and a sink, but then it's red tile all around the walls, and just awesome. So I put my phone on the ledge, and I was playing my Garth Brooks music, and I just stood in that shower for hours on end, and it made me happy. And then And then here's where things went wrong. Is I'm in there just enjoying the hot water, and the alarm goes off. The airport alarm. And I thought, crap, that's not good. And I waited a second and kept going. And then I thought, well, I should probably get out. I mean, what if there's an active shooter or something, right? Scary things happen in our airports, or there's a fire. And then I thought, you know what? No, I'm not getting out of the shower. I assume that if there is, let's say, a main man who with a weapon running through the airport, what are the odds that he's going to keep going, get through the Delta Sky Lounge, and come for the shower, people? I just felt like we're probably safer in the shower. And then if there was a fire, people would probably run by shouting, fire, fire. So I just stayed, and the alarm went off for probably, I don't know, another 10, 20 minutes, and then it stopped. I never found out why the alarm was going off, but I stayed. I just decided that I was going to stay in my happy place where it felt good, and good for me. It really, that 8-9 hour delay, whatever it was, could have been miserable. Instead, I made it great. And that's what I choose to do. Sometimes stuff hits the fan and it's out of your control, and you can be a sourpuss and you can complain and make everybody around you miserable, including yourself, or you can figure out a way to have fun. And I'd always prefer to have fun.
What a super fun story. And it's like making lemonade out of lemons. Obviously, you had a really long trip and you just wanted to get home to your comfort and your healing at the same time. I want to talk about how you talked about this idea of flow, and that when you're doing the thing that you're passionate about, that you're in flow, and like everything else that's not this thing kind of falls away and you're just engrossed in this activity. For me, that's playing basketball, and I play basketball 3 mornings a week. For my wife, Katie, it's tennis. When she steps on the tennis court, like, doesn't matter how many things are going on or how crazy things are, her mind doesn't think about any of it. When I'm on the basketball court, I don't even know what the score is. I'm like, people ask me the score, I'm like, I don't know. I'm just playing. I know other people on the team, they know what the score is. I trust that they're going to tell me what the score is. But I just go and literally my mind doesn't think about anything other than just what's in front of me. And it's almost like a meditation itself, doing these things that we're passionate about. I know you coach people, you're a keynote speaker. What do you recommend to the person listening to this that is kind of looking for that hobby, that thing that they can do that takes all the other troubles out of their mind while they do it?
Yeah, so it's always control what you can. Your career should be something you love. There's something about having a job. Like my kid, my 19-year-old, he doesn't have a career yet. He has jobs. He gets paid for dog sitting and this or that. And it's fine. It makes him happy. It makes him money, but it's not his career. I hope people are leaning into a career that they just adore, because you got to spend 40 hours a week there. It should be something that really fulfills you and becomes an escape, right? So for me, I had chosen my career so wisely that when I had to work, quote unquote, had to work, I was chomping at the bit, and even cancer couldn't hold me back. Even vicious treatment couldn't hold me back. I wanted to get there. So number one, make sure the place that you spend 40 hours a week is a place you love to be. And if not, start looking. So, or build your own business, right? I'm not telling you to quit today, but start moving in the right direction. There's space for you in that place. And then the other thing is, make sure you have outlets for enjoyment and personal satisfaction. And for me, it's time with my dogs or animals. It's being outside. Now I'm doing ballroom dance. I love weightlifting. There's all of these things. So if people irritate me or something goes wrong, and it does, I know, I am Susie Sunshine. I was born with a sunny disposition. I'm a joy addict. I seek that out, but I also am a human. I'm not a robot. Things upset me or irritate me or really make me sad. And so instead of just basking in the sadness, I divert. I go outside with my dogs, or I get in a hot bath. So people should just say, what do I like to do? Here's top 10 things that make me happy. And when your sister takes you off, go do one of those top 10 things. And when your boss is an a-hole, do one of those top 10 things. And all of a sudden you'll realize that you do have these management tools, and they make you better, as opposed to letting the experience make you worse.
So I've had the pleasure of interviewing 100 top experts on how to feel happy. And you have it, like, I think truth is truth. And people continue to point to the same things about happiness. And you have just pointed to those things. Being outside. I'd say the number one answer that people from science, from doctors to, just health experts to mental health experts, being outside is consistently one of the top choices about how to improve your mood and be happy. And I'm a big supporter of Make-A-Wish. I'm on the board of Make-A-Wish in the state of South Carolina. And I know that like being positive and hopeful heals you. Like the Make-A-Wish has done so many studies that these wishes actually improve the healing journey of these children. So when we make ourselves happier, like things work better. Probably you going to work, even though it was taxing on you, helped you heal because it like made you happy. And I think when we're happy, we're healing.
So here's the deal. If I had not gone, everyone's got that Aunt Peg, right? And Aunt Peg says, oh my God, you have cancer. You need to stay at home. You need to hide out. So my first thoughts on that is the only people we should be isolating are those that are highly contagious or those who are prisoners, right? We don't take someone with cancer and isolate them out of fear. What are they fear of losing? They're fear of losing their life. So let them live. I mean, if cancer would have won and I would have died, okay, well, can you imagine if I pissed away the last 15 months of my life just hiding inside being miserable? So, that was the difference. If I didn't get up and go to do the things that I wanted to do, all I would have been was sick. All I would have been was sick. That would have been the only thing about me that was interesting or relevant, or I don't know, that would just been it. But instead I was adventurous and I was a traveler and I was a friend and I was a speaker and a race announcer. And I added 3 more books and became an author again. So I get up and go do the things you love to do. And, of course I was scared. And of course I was stressed. It was an inordinate amount of stress that it's just undescribable. However, how I chose to deal with it is I would allow myself to cry, and I'd cry for 15 minutes. I'd go in my bathroom and I'd boohoo, or I'd go in my car, shut the door and boohoo. But then I'd get up and I'd get on with it. And I'd put on those big girl panties and I'd choose to get back to life. And it always worked out in my favor. So it's okay to be real and have grief. Just don't bask in it. Don't wallow in it. Don't become the victim. Be the victor over yourself.
Oh, I love that. Yes, I know that's one of your mantras, is to be a victor and not a victim. I've been a big student of Tony Robbins, and Tony says motion creates emotion. And so you are huge into fitness. I am huge into fitness. You're huge into getting outside. So am I. Last night I got home and my wife said, let's go for a walk. My daughter said, hey, will you shoot hoops with me in the backyard? So, we're out walking the dog. I take my son to the park. I'm shooting hoops with my daughter. And then my wife is like riding bikes. She like comes back around and we're all outside. It's like so freaking joyful. Like it was the best night ever because we're all outside. Today, I just got back from the beach. I went surfing. I'm like, okay, I've got an hour and a half before I'm going to talk with Fitz. I'm listening to your podcast on the way to the beach, pulling my surfboard out in the ocean, surfing. The sun's out. Like the waves weren't fantastic, but it didn't matter. Like I was just outside in nature. And this is the way we feel really, really good. And so when we're moving our body, I have found that if I'm fearful or if I'm sad, like I want to acknowledge those emotions. I don't want to push them away. I don't want to say, hey, I wish I wasn't this way. I just say, hey, I'm accepting myself. I'm having a sad day. But then I'm like, all right, I need to move my body. Like I'm a weightlifter. I love lifting weights. If I go do a really intense weight workout, at the end of the workout, I feel so much better than when I started, especially if I had fearful thoughts. And what's been your experience with, exercise and how it can heal?
Yeah, so it's proven that exercise vents out toxic feelings. It's a mood booster. And I can tell you that when I was diagnosed, those first couple of weeks, I think I only had 2 weeks between finding the lump and starting treatment, and that stress just weighing on me and all the questions. And at that point, I thought I was definitely dying. So there was that. So I exercised even more. I went from a girl with a really good workout regime to someone who was doing twice as much, not because I wanted to be more muscular or skinnier or any of those things. All I wanted to do was get rid of those yucky feelings. And so, like you said, being outside, a real win. Folks, if you work at home or you work at an office, if you're on a laptop versus a desktop, just take your laptop outside. I spent 8 hours yesterday. I'm writing a new book. I have my podcast, all of these things I'm dealing with. 8 hours on my laptop on my back porch.
Oh,
Everything was better versus being
that's bliss.
It is bliss. If you have a phone meeting, right? You're on a conference, a Zoom, maybe they don't have to see your face. Even if they do, take it on the go. Do a walk and talk meeting. There's no reason you have to sit in a chair just to converse with somebody. You can make the outside part of your world. You can eat lunch outside. You can eat dinner outside. Shoot, I have an outdoor shower. In fact, I went to St. Augustine. My whole family stayed in a what do we call Airbnb type house. And I just loved coming back and taking outdoor showers. And so I harped on it enough that when I went away one day, my husband had a plumber come over and installed an outdoor shower. So I could basically live in my backyard right now. That's how important the outside is. But it's not about me. It's about y'all. Find the thing that works for you and go do it. And ideally, if you find an exercise that requires thought. So I love walking. I love treadmill. I love them, but it's a little monotonous and your mind can wander. Choose something that requires thought, like go play basketball with Matt. I did a Dancing with the Stars competition recently, and I learned the jive and had to perform that in front of 600 people. So when I was practicing jive, there was no thinking about anything else. It was just thinking about, holy heck, how do I get this right so I don't humiliate myself publicly, right? And then now I'm keeping going. Once a week, I meet with the choreographer and we salsa and samba and foxtrot. And there's absolutely nothing going on between my ears other than dance. And it's so rewarding. It really is a lovely thing to do.
I love this advice. My wife and I, before our wedding, we took shag dancing lessons.
Fun.
It was so fun. Like, of course, now we like pull out the 5 moves we still remember every time we get on a dance floor. But, I think we should pick it back up, listening to how much fun you're having dancing.
Yeah, you should. And it's incredible how many people say, well, I can't dance. That's a lie. That's a lie. You can dance. Maybe you're not as good as the people on TV. Okay, neither am I. But just move your body to the music. Good enough. There's no rules.
So, Fitz, tell me some more of your favorite things to do to feel good.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I love to be with great people. I love to be alone. I find alone just so fantastic. Me and me get along great. We see eye to eye on everything.
Hey, wait, I want to stay with that because you just said 2 complete opposites.
Yeah.
You said in one sentence, you said, I love to be with great people. And then on the other sentence, you said, I love to be alone. Talk with me a little bit about this.
Yeah, I mean, comfortable in all situations, right? Even in a room full of strangers. That's one of my great gifts is that my mother would say, you don't know any strangers. When I was a kid, she would say, stop saying hi to everybody. You're going to get yourself killed. And I'm not sure how that was going to manifest, but I never stopped saying hi to everybody. And, I do like meeting new people, but some people are they're afraid to go have lunch or sit at a restaurant alone. And
I was just talking to 2 people in my office yesterday. And we're walking up the stairs, and one of them says, I'm a real introvert. And then somebody else overheard us talking, and he said, I'm an introvert too. And I said, I think that this idea of labeling ourselves as an introvert is interesting because all of us enjoy our alone time. I do. I've got alone time. I love to sip coffee and read and think and journal. Like, it's actually some of the most fulfilling time of my day is this time that I am spending with myself and my thoughts. And then I get to the office and there's all these people that I get to have relationship with. And so I was saying, I think everyone's got some introvert and everyone's got some extrovert. I haven't met a single person that can just live in a home by themselves and never see anybody and be happy at the same time. I do think happiness, a big component of it is great relationships.
I completely agree. What I want people to do is stop worrying about other people's opinions. I mean, I think that's really freeing. And so for me, it's not really my business what you think of me, right? You can have your own thoughts. It doesn't affect me, whatever you think of me. So I'm okay being alone. I'm okay being different. I'm okay having opinions that completely clash with everybody else's. And I'm okay sitting in the middle of a crowded restaurant at a table all by myself, having a meal without anybody thinking I'm a weirdo. And so many people, they wouldn't go have lunch alone. So, guys, you are enough. And that's pretty generic to say, but who are you in competition with? Your life is not a competition. It's you. If you're doing your best, if you feel like you woke up and you put your best foot forward, you're taking care of yourself, you're doing whatever you can to support yourself, you're following the rules, you're not committing crimes, you should feel good about who you are. And whether you look different or sound different or have different education, it doesn't matter to anybody else. You just go do you. And I think when you get comfortable with you, even alone in the middle of a crowded restaurant, even alone on a dance floor, you can show up at a bar knowing nobody and go out in the middle of the dance floor and dance. I think that really is a recipe for success.
But what if someone judges you?
Who cares? You know what? Judging is brilliant. I want my kids to judge people. I want them to decide, is this a good seed or a bad seed? Someone who I'm going to get in trouble with? Should I cross the street right now? I think judging people is a highly intelligent thing to do. What a bizarre world we are right now. And people are like, she's judgy. You're damn right I am. That's how I built a quality business. That's how I got a master's degree. I made good judgments and I made some bad ones and I got past them. So yes, we should be judging everything. Don't you agree?
We all do.
Yeah.
And you're talking about this power of discernment. And I want to continue to become better with my discernment over and over again. So as a parent, I'm watching my children and who they're choosing to spend time with because I have a little bit more wisdom than they do. And I can feel the energy and see the behavior and hear the things that are coming out of these kids' mouths. And there's some of them that I'm like, wow, okay, this is a child I'd love for you to spend some more time with. And then there's some of them I'm like,
So this is classic. I have two. My younger is Parker. He's 19 now, but when he was little, 7, 8 years old, and I'm the house where all the kids always came. I always had the parties, always invited the kids here. I just wanted them on my turf so I could supervise, I could know what was going on. And I never really had to worry about my kids being harmed by another adult if they were under my care. So of course there were some places I'd allow them to go, but really my house was the place. And so I was always saying to Parker, hey, Patricia, she seems nice. Why don't we invite her over? Kendall, he seems nice. Let's invite him over. And I remember Parker saying about one kid, no, I don't want him to come over. And I thought, well, I had seen him playing. They looked like they were having fun. He said, why don't you want him to come over? And Parker said, Mom, he doesn't raise his hand. And I thought, okay, that's pretty hardcore. But
he had some discernment. He wanted to hang around the bold, outgoing go-getters.
Well, and he's a big rule follower. He is by the book on all situations. And I remember speaking to it was an older gentleman, retired professor who volunteered at this school. And I was saying, you know what? It makes me worry that Parker won't hang out with these kids or that. He said, you know what? Parker may only have a small group, but they are quality kids. He doesn't need to be friends with everybody. He has chosen the kids that are best suited for him. And I think adults should do that too. I think judging is a plus quality. And if you're out there saying you shouldn't be judgmental, well then good luck crossing the street, right? We all need to be judgmental.
When I was 27, I read the book, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And there were free resources that I could, download. And one of the resources Darren offered was a friend assessment. And I took it. I filled out the assessment. He said, you are the average of the people you spend the most time with. And he said, and it's not just your income's the average of who you spend the most time with, your relationships, the quality of relationships, your health and fitness, how ambitious you are, all of these different life categories. If you took the 5 people you spent the most time with and rated them on a scale of 1 to 10 and average it out, you're probably going to be looking at who you are. So I wrote down the names of the people I spent the most time with. And then in all these categories, relationship, health, spirituality, finances, career, all these things. I rated them on a scale of 1 to 10. And sure enough, I'm looking at these numbers. I'm like, well, it kind of looks like who I am right now. And his point was, if there are people on that sheet who seem to be drastically dragging you in the direction you don't want to go, you could limit the amount of time you spend with them.
Absolutely. So as the fitness expert part of my business, I think there's 4 components to physical health, which is exercising in a variety of ways often, watching what you put in your mouth, getting quality sleep, removing the cranky people. That's number 4. If you are surrounded by jerks, if you are surrounded by victims, if you are surrounded by people that drag you down, it is imperative that you remove them, even if they are blood. And sometimes the worst offenders are blood. And so you either remove them completely or you limit interaction as severely as possible. But it's not okay for you, your health, to let other people ruin your quality of life. And if you're a parent, the onus on you is even higher, because you have some serious role modeling to do. My sister, gosh, mean as a snake. She's punished me. She's been so horrible to me for my whole life. I thought it would end when we became adults, and she didn't. And then when I had my kids, I finally realized, if I allow her to treat me this way, they will allow someone to treat them that way. And so I cut her off. I'm cordial. I'm cordial. If we see each other at a family affair, we can interact to support our mother. But I don't. When I was sick, when I had cancer for 18 months, she never once called, never once, and that was fine by me, because she's not a quality addition to my life. She's someone who takes. She's one who makes my life worse. And so I want to encourage people to have the courage to remove the cranky people. You know who they are, and you know you don't deserve it. So step it up and step away.
So well said. And of course, some of the people on my list were family members. And I didn't eliminate. I didn't. I limited. For me, the choice I made was, I'm not going to reach out. And because I felt like this obligation, this guilt, like, oh my gosh, I have to reach out to my dad every so often, just because out of this like guilt. And he would guilt me into it too. Like, hey, you need to reach out.
Because he's a cranky person, because he's a taker as opposed to a giver.
Super cranky, super cranky, super taker. And as I just stopped reaching out, every once in a while we would connect, but it was now every so many months instead of every so many weeks. And what happened is, so the other people that were in my life at this time, super heavy drinkers, people blowing cocaine, people cheating on their significant others, cheating on their wives, going to strip clubs. Like I didn't have like the most rosy group of friends at the time in my 20s. And of course, then I had other people that were CEOs of companies, that were working out all the time, that were going to church, that had great friend groups and great morals. So I had a mix of what was happening around me. And then I was right in between, so I was going to the bars. I was smoking cigarettes when I was at the bars. Like, these are things that I don't do at this time. But I just started to limit this group. And then I'm like, well, who am I going to hang out with? What happened is that I had time and space, and all of a sudden an opening in my life, because I was spending less time with the people that weren't who I wanted to become. And then that space naturally started to get filled with these really empowering relationships. And then from there, like, my life just massively transformed, like crazy transformation, because I do believe the people that we spend our time with are the biggest influence in who we become.
You are absolutely right. And you are the exhibit A of remove the cranky people.
Remove the cranky people. All right. So when you're on stage and people say, Fitz, you changed my life with what you said, what's one piece of advice we can leave this group with that could make a lasting impact?
Oh, yeah. So overall, it starts with control what you can. There are things you can't control, and you have to be okay with that. And there's things you can control, and you should. And right next to that, I have to say it, is prepare your body to do battle today. Your health actually matters. And nothing brings that into light more so than when someone looks you in the face and says, I'm so sorry you have cancer or Parkinson's or ALS, any of those things, because at that point, all you want is health. You'd give up all your goodies. all your fun stuff just to have health. And so know that if you start focusing on exercise and nutrition and quality sleep and removing those cranky people right now, if and when crisis comes, and I found that nobody on earth gets out unscathed, if and when that crisis comes, you will be far more likely to recover and get back to normalcy faster and more efficiently than if you were weak and sickly going into that crisis. So yeah, control what you can. And certainly your health is one of those things you can control.
I just got I had my blood looked at a couple weeks ago. And I'm getting my blood looked at every quarter and I've got a really smart doctor, Dr. Ryan Smith here in my town, that's looking at it. And he said, Matt, you had these indicators that were showing you kind of like high on glucose, and now they've gotten higher. And he said, these are indicators that are saying that you're moving towards diabetes. And he said, I know your diet, I know your workout routine. It's not sugar. It's not what you're putting in your mouth. It's not what you're doing with your body. He said, how's your sleep? And I said, oh, I don't need that much sleep. And he said, okay. So I need you to start sleeping more. And so I was sacrificing sleep, thinking I was going to be more productive. And what doing this blood draw showed me, and that Dr. Smith showed me, is that my body is actually starting to move into dis-ease because I'm sacrificing sleep, and I don't see it as important. So yeah. You've mentioned quality sleep numerous times on this podcast. You're speaking directly to me.
Yeah.
That I need to actually rest.
Well, that's my whole mission in life, is to help people live better and longer by simplifying it all, by making fitness understandable, attainable, and fun. And it really is quite simple. So I hope your listeners will come visit me. I'm at fitzness.com. That's FITZNESS. And that's a home base. There's tons of free content, exact formula for weight loss, free workout videos, free, all on fitzness.com. And then I'm at Fitzness on all social channels, and I can help, and I'd like to help. This is why I'm here, is to help. So yeah, I hope we can all be friends.
You helped me today, and I've had so much fun on this episode. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. And how about you and I commit to continuing to control what we can and be the happiest campers we can be? Yes?
Deal.
All right.
All right, y'all. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode with Matt O'Neill.